Hi, Chris.
Yes.
How you doing? It's Michael Persh calling from Adelaide in Australia.
Oh, hello, Michael. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time. It's a great pleasure to have the opportunity to say hello.
That's okay. My pleasure.
One of the things I do with my listeners on the show on a regular basis is ask them to write in and suggest people they would like me to talk to.
Oh, okay.
And in the last year, there are two people that have just eclipsed all others. One is the one and only Alan Parsons, who I'm actually talking to tomorrow, who you've been working with lately.
Yeah. Well, not recently, but yeah, I have worked with Alan. Yeah.
And the other one is your good self. So there is obviously quite a lot of interest in Australia as to what Chris Thompson is up to.
Well, okay. I'll try and tell you. At the moment, I'm on a holiday.
Well, you're back in New Zealand, and I'm not sure if people know that you actually grew up in New Zealand.
I did grow up in New Zealand. Yeah. I came here my father brought me here when I was 5 years old. And I stayed here. Well, we stayed here till he died when I was about 8 years old. We went back to England for a little while, but then we came back. So I was here through all my high school and all that kind of stuff. So I consider this my kind of roots, really, New Zealand.
So what part of New Zealand did you grow up in?
I grew up in Hamilton and Auckland.
Okay, very nice indeed.
And right at the moment I'm out at PR Beach, which is just outside of Auckland, which is one of my favourite places in the world.
Lovely, lovely. So I know that you played music when you were a teenager in New Zealand. How did that transition happen for you to go back to London?
Well, actually it was down to a guy called Trevor Morace, who was the drummer in a band called Peddlers, which were kind of a 60s, end of the 60s kind of jazz combo with a Hammond organ player and a drummer and a bass player. Hammond organ player sang, and they did kind of covers of it's kind of jazz standards, really.
Okay.
And he was playing. They used to come to New Zealand a lot. In fact, the keyboard player lives in New Zealand now. I just can't think of his name, but he lives here now. And anyway, Trevor was here, and he actually left the band in New Zealand, and he decided that he wanted to keep playing and wanted to hang out in New Zealand and everything. So he played in my band because we didn't have a drummer. And then eventually he went back to England, and then he just sent me a telegram saying, "Have a gig, come to London." So I packed up my stuff and went to London, and he literally meant he had a gig, one.
Right.
So I went back and then kind of was stuck in the, trying to find work, really. But that's what actually took me back.
That's quite a leap of faith to go halfway around the world for a gig, though.
I think it was stupidity, really.
But it did pay off in the long run.
Mm-hmm. And I worked around quite a lot, just in pubs and trying to meet people and work. And then I just answered an ad in the Melody Maker, which is now from Man's Earthbound.
Indeed, which people will of course know you most well from. But I just wanted to quickly, just while we're still on the subject of New Zealand, your latest CD Timeline has some lovely remakes of songs from all your career, including a lot of the tunes you're famous for from the Earth Band. But there is a lovely, the opening song is a lovely tribute to New Zealand, the land of the long white cloud.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's a new song. It's part of a musical that I'm in the middle of writing about New Zealand. It's a story that I wrote about a Maori lady, and it's those 4 or 5 songs, I can't remember how many, they're from that musical. And I'm at present trying to get that onto the stage, and it involves quite a lot of people from New Zealand. It involves a Maori choir, it involves some Polynesian drummers and a hip hop guy, and of course a Maori lady who sings, and myself. So that is a big tribute to New Zealand, really. I mean, the story is a story that I wrote when I was teaching in Narrawa here. I've changed it, of course, but the basis of the story comes from there.
Very good. Look forward to seeing it when it all comes to fruition.
Yeah, well, hopefully it'll be next year. I mean, we're really working hard. It's one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life. Is trying to. It started off as a concept CD, And then I realised when I finished it that I was the only one who understood it. So I had to kind of write a story and finish the story and make it more easy for people to, user-friendly, so to speak. So that's what I've been doing really for about 6 or 7 years. We recorded all the music in New Zealand.
Look forward to it. Sounds fascinating. We in Australia have a bad habit of claiming everything that comes from New Zealand as our own, so that may well happen with you. If I go back to the Earth Band, there's an Australian connection there as well. Mick Rogers,
yeah,
was a very well known and loved guitar player in Australia. How did it come about? The when you joined the band, Spirits in the Night was quite a sizable hit in the US, wasn't it? So the band was certainly not in its infancy when you joined.
Well, no, actually, Mick left. That's why I joined. They needed a replacement for Mick because he didn't want to sing Blinded by the Light. He sang Spirits, but the band was just starting to break through in America. It was Spirits actually wasn't released as a single until after Blinded was a hit, and then I went back and recorded Spirits with my voice, and they put it back on the Roaring Silence record in the second release of it. Mm-hmm. So Mick had put it on Nightingales and Bombers, I think, was it on that record?
Yeah.
Hey, one of my daughters has just walked in. What's the matter? Oh, she's walked back out again. That's good. Mick had actually left, so I replaced Mick. But then after a few years, Mick came back, and we were in the band together for a long time.
I can't keep up with Mick Rogers and the Earth Band. He's in and out.
Well, no, he's in and out a lot less than me. He came back and joined. I can't remember what year it was. I couldn't even hazard a guess, but I would say somewhere around 82 or something like that. I think he came back into the band, and he still plays with Manfred. Still plays with Manfred Mann's Earth Band.
That's right, he does.
I don't, of course, but he does.
And they're still very active in Europe, indeed.
Yeah, very active. Yeah, very active.
And one of the things the Earth Band is very famous for is taking the songs of other people and making them their own, and that was very evident with the Springsteen tunes. And a lot's been written about that. But I think the Dylan tunes I find much more interesting. That there's so many that you guys did that really, especially my age, because I sort of grew up in the 70s, not the 60s, and I knew them as Earth Band songs, not as Dylan songs.
Right, a lot of people are like that. A lot of people are like that. Well, I mean, I think, as you said, that's what the Earth Band is known for. That's what the Earth Band is known for, taking, a song and making it their own, but, using the structure of it and obviously the lyrics and everything, but changing so many things. I mean, I think with Blinded, it's almost unrecognizable, really. But with Dylan as well, I mean, Dylan is he's fantastic songwriter and everything, but quite a lot of his stuff ended up by being monotonic, and I think that's what Manfred Mann's Earth Band did with the Dylan songs, was take them out and, move them around, put a bit of melody in, like Mighty Quinn, for instance. But I mean, I think, I don't know whether you know Davies on the Road Again. You know that song?
Oh, yes, well, a huge hit all around the world and in Australia as well.
No, that's a Robbie Robertson, John Simon song from the band's time,
yes.
Bob Dylan's band.
Yes, indeed.
And I mean, if you listen to that song, it's totally unrecognisable what the Earth Band did with that. I mean, Manfred, I think, has to take the majority of the credit for finding the songs. I think he was an avid song listener, really. But both. Well, he was using Dylan's songs a lot, but Springsteen was sent to him by a DJ in Philadelphia called Ed Sharkey, who was really responsible for Manfred getting that, and he was also responsible for playing us when we did Blinded. He stuck with the Earth Band, played it, because in those days, a DJ in a radio station in Philadelphia could actually make a difference to your career. He'd keep playing it, everyone would look and say, well, this guy's playing this record all the time, let's have a look at it. Now, of course, that doesn't exist really anymore. It's a shame, but it doesn't.
No, it's all sort of gone around 360 degrees, hasn't it, indeed? But as you mentioned, Davies on the Road Again, and the album Watch really was a huge success around the world, wasn't it? Fantastic record.
It was, yeah. I think got us on the road. We went out and did a whole bunch of gigs, and we were a good band live. It was you know, it was interesting. It wasn't the same as everybody else. There was a lot of musicality. It was different every time you saw it. Then I think Watch came out and had, you know, Mighty Quinn Davies on the road again, and then I think we were most well known for Angel Station, which isn't my favourite record, but yeah, Watch did very well and really helped build our career. And it didn't do much in America, unfortunately, but everywhere else in the world it kind of built the career up.
It's interesting you say that, because I actually went back and had a listen to Angel Station recently, and I absolutely enjoyed listening to it. I was quite riveted to it. So
well, you and a couple of million other people is their favourite record. But for me, I think I was just getting a little bit despondent with the fact that we couldn't write, you know, Manfred didn't want us to write anything. Not anything that was, you know, we'd write B-sides and things like that, but he didn't want really for us to write anything ourselves. So much so that if I wrote something that I thought would suit the band, I didn't tell him I wrote it. I would say, what do you think about this song? You know, and he'd go, oh, I quite like that, and play it. I remember one time we were just about to put something on the album after Angel Station. It was one of my songs, and he didn't know it was one of my songs. And we played it and we played it and played it. And then somebody came down the studio and went, "Hey, Chris, isn't that one of your songs?" And he went, "What?"
blew your cover.
And it didn't make it on the record. And I was getting very frustrated in Angel Station. Well, in fact, that was my first time I left after that. And I think that it holds not good memories for me. I think that's why I you know. But having said that, you know, every time I go out with my band and play, lots of people ask us to play stuff off that record. You know, it's one of the drummers I work with. You know, I can't remember what the name of it. But Angels at My Gate. That's one of his favourite songs. He keeps saying, "We've got to play that. We've got to play that." And you know, like I said, it doesn't hold great memories for me, that record.
Well, my favourite LP is actually Chance.
Really?
And with Trevor, when Trevor Rabin came into the studio.
Well, I think it was a bit more rock and roll. The songs are a bit simpler. The funny thing about Chances, I wish that, you know, we went into to Pete Townshend's studio with 5 or 6 songs. We played them live, and that was going to be the record. And it was fantastic. It was really the first time we captured the band live in the studio, you know, in a way that was fine. And then Manfred started fiddling around with it, and then it ended up by being, you know, then he got Trevor in to help him do it, and it was, you know, it just got screwed up, in my opinion. But the songs, I think the songs were great.
Oh, and I agree. There's some songs on there even the more obscure songs that didn't get a lot of exposure. It's a very solid record. There's really no fillers on that album.
It's a shame people didn't get to hear the original recordings that we made, because they were fantastic. I've got them somewhere, but I keep saying to Manfred we should remaster them and stick them out now that they're kind of remastering everything. But he's a very hard man to pin down.
That would be a very interesting thing to do as a reissue, for instance.
Yeah, well, that's what we were thinking. That's what I was thinking about. And but you know, I'll keep battling away at it. I always do keep hassling him about stuff like that.
Just one last question about the Earth Band, and you mentioned it before, how you guys would take other people's tunes and they were totally unrecognisable. And I think a great example of that was Going Underground from Criminal Tango.
Yeah,
when I first heard it, I thought that it took me a while to even recognise the tune.
It was a jam song, wasn't it?
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we wrestled with that for months and months and months, that song. And we played it live, unfortunately, after the record, because we ended up with a fantastic arrangement of it live. You know, that's another thing that's disappeared, is the fact that the bands used to go on the road and, you know, play the songs live and then go in and record them in the studio. And that doesn't happen anymore. It's the other way around, which is sad. But, yeah, Going Underground, we wrestled with that for a long time. You don't want to know how many versions of that there were.
A whole reissue CD of just...
Yeah, I think, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The outfit Night was very popular in Australia and did very well, and Stevie Van, she did some backing vocals on Watch. Is that how you actually came across each other?
No. We started with Night before that. I think so. What date? Watch. Let
both your voices work so well together.
They do.
But one of the things I remember from seeing the band on the film clips of the band, there was a lot of wearing of overalls action. Not from you, but the other guys in the band. It was very disturbing in hindsight.
Which band are you talking about now?
Night. There were some film clips where I think 3 of the guys were wearing overalls. It may have looked very cool at the time.
No, I don't. I think you're mixing that with Man for Man's Earth Band, aren't you? We did a whole tour where everybody was wearing overalls.
Oh, that was okay. That was the Budapest.
There was that. There was quite a few. I'm just trying to think what the songs were. We were wearing overalls. Nobody in Night would be wearing overalls. No, because it was Nicky Hopkins. You never get Nicky Hopkins in a pair of overalls. Or Rick Marotta.
If I can jump sideways a little, you did a very interesting record with Mike Oldfield.
Well, for me it was just turn up and sing, really. Mike sent me the songs, I learned them, went in and sang. I mean, I think I sang them about 6 months before the record came out. So when the record came out, I don't think he ever spoke to me again.
Oh, really?
I don't think so. I mean, I thought we would probably go on the road and do something, but he didn't, and we didn't.
Well,
I don't think I spoke to him again after that.
Well, the album Earth Moving is I think one of Mike's CDs that really didn't get a lot of exposure compared to some of the others. It was a bit of an underground record.
I really don't know. I was kind of so locked in what I was doing myself at that point in time. As I said, I went in, learned the songs, went in and sang them, and left. Really, I mean, it's probably a very sad thing to say, but it's true. I was, it was something I was kind of commissioned to do. If you want to look at it like that, That's kind of what I did. I didn't really follow the way his album did at all.
Another project that I found very interesting and one of my favourite songs from the 80s that I don't hear very often at all was one by Patrick Simmons, and the Doobies are in the country in Australia very soon.
I know. Yeah, well, I saw Patrick not terribly recently, but I keep in contact with him. Yeah, I mean that album was fantastic. That was heartened. That was totally the opposite than I went and lived in Santa Cruz, and we worked on those songs and structured them and played and sang, and that was our life for a couple of years. That album it was fantastic. It was wonderful because I lost my kind of one and only copy of it, and somebody gave me the CD as a Christmas present, which was not this Christmas before, which was great to go back and listen to them again. I mean, not out on the streets. Down on the street, is that what it was called, Out on the Streets? I can't remember. There's a couple of songs on there that I really, really like. And So Wrong, which started life as a political lyric and then got kind of sanitized by the record company. But I really enjoyed making that record. It was fantastic.
So Wrong just has a fantastic groove. It's a great tune indeed.
It does have a great groove.
And we spoke about Alan Parsons when we first started talking, and you've done some work with Alan recording-wise, but also some work with Alan Parsons Project Live.
Yeah,
that must have been a lot of fun.
I went on the first tour when they went out live. I recorded one record in the studio with Alan and a couple of live things, and then I did 2 tours with him, one in South America and one in Germany.
I would love to see your band and indeed the Alan Parsons Project come to Australia, but unfortunately the tyranny of distance seems to be a problem with a lot of acts that it's just not financially viable to come halfway around the world, sadly.
Well, I'm hoping that my rediscovering project, the one I was talking to you about, I'm hoping that will bring me back to New Zealand to play some concerts, and also we can slip across to Australia. Once you're down here, it's just a hop and a skip across. I'm hoping that I can do it because it would be nice to use it as a tool to go to places that I really like. I mean, I was in Australia with War of the Worlds a couple of years ago.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that, and that was a huge success all around the world indeed.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I've done that 4 or 5 times now. Australian, because I went to Perth. I'd never been there before, and I don't think we played in Adelaide, did we?
No, the show didn't come to Adelaide.
We played Perth and Brisbane, so I still haven't been to Adelaide. So yeah, maybe I'll make it.
Hopefully on the list of next time you come to Australia.
Yeah.
Just to finish off with, Chris, Australia and John Farnham has claimed the tune "You're the Voice" as our own, but is indeed stolen from your good self.
Well, it's not stolen. I mean, it was just one of those very fortuitous things. One of the writers, Andy Kunter, he was with Icehouse in the same studio as John, and he heard them saying that they needed one more song or a single for their record, so he pulled out a cassette and gave it to them. I mean, I was very happy with what John did, and obviously incredibly happy. I mean, he's a fantastic singer, John. I mean, he really is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a couple of funny things with John. He was doing a live television show that I found out about. I was in the same place in Hamburg or somewhere like that, on a live TV show in Germany, a big, huge show. And I just kind of stole a backstage pass and strolled onto the stage and sang backgrounds with the girls that he was.
Oh, magnificent.
He turned around and nearly fell over. And on live TV, everybody thought I was going to shoot him or something. It was quite funny. But he's fantastic, John, and he did a fantastic job. And I don't mind the Australians claiming that as their kind of national anthem. He did it with Coldplay, which was wonderful. I mean, it's nobody can take away the fact that that we wrote it, and nobody can ever take away the fact that it's going to be on my rediscovery project. It's the end of my rediscovery project in another way, of course. So I'm not unhappy about that at all, and I don't consider it to be stolen. I mean, I know that's not what you meant, but I'm really incredibly happy that John did it and that it was a huge success. I mean, it would have been nice for me to have done it myself, but I will, and as I say, it's a place in history for all of us, really, for John, for me, and the other writers, and it's wonderful.
Well, you still you regularly perform it live, and if folks,
of course,
if folks want to go digging, it actually appears on the Alan Parsons live recording that we mentioned before, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we did it live at Arnhem at a huge celebration of 50 years of the end of the war. About 180,000 people going crazy. I mean, people go crazy every time we sing it. So I'm very happy that I'm involved with that, and I'm a lucky person. Shame I haven't written a few more like that, but I'm working on it.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to say hello, and as I said, there is from certainly from what I'm hearing a great amount of interest in Australia as to what you're doing, and the new project sounds fascinating, and I hope that it does bring you to our shores sooner rather than later. That would be lovely to see.
And keep in touch. If you need anything else, just give me a call.
Thank you very much.
Michael.
Can I get you to do a quick tag for me?
You can, yeah. What do you want me to say?
My program is called Sitting in a Bar in Adelaide.
Sitting in a bar in Adelaide? Okay.
If you can do me something along the lines of, "This is Chris Thompson and you're listening to blah, blah, blah."
Okay. Hi, this is Chris Thompson and you're listening to Sitting in a Bar in Adelaide, and I wish I was with you.
Thank you so much, mate. An absolute pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your holiday and look forward to seeing you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.